So I talk a lot about working with consumers and what consumers are right for you and why they should be purchasing from you. And I feel like I've never really totally made it clear on what I mean by that. What is an ideal consumer, why they're important to you, all of that stuff. So I thought, hey, let's take a few minutes and discuss ideal consumers. I'll see you after this. Howdy, welcome back. I'm E.H. Howard, and this is A Few Minutes with me, E.H. Howard. And as I was saying at the opening, I talk a lot about ideal consumers and what does that mean? Why is it important? Why can't I stop talking about it? Will I please just stop talking about it? And no, I'm not going to just stop talking about it, unfortunately. One of the main things about and let's before I go too far, I just want to say and clarify my terms here. I'm talking, it's because it's a mouthful to say small home solopreneurs and consultants. All right. So when I say small businesses, that's what I mean. Small businesses, home business, solopreneur businesses, consultants, contractors, you name it. And when I specifically mentioned small business at the beginning, I'm talking about places with very small, mostly mom and pop kind of main street things, family run business, maybe 5 or 6 employees at most. Okay, very small. So the running thread through all of this is it is usually a 1, maybe 2-man show. Everything rests on your shoulders. Everything is on you. Sometimes funds can be tight. Sometimes time can be tight. Resources can be tight, and most times it's all of them. All right, so that's what I talk about when I say small business, because that's a lot to fit into a sentence. I talk about this ideal consumer a lot, and the thing is, a lot of small businesses are already, in a broad sense, wrap their mind around this idea. Okay. And the idea is, because you hear people all the time say, well, my consumer is, but that's about it. Okay. They haven't really gone further than that. They really haven't gone deeper. And one of the problems with that, and let's start and kind of get into it. One of the problems with just saying, my consumer is with a blank thing. And we're going to talk in generalities here, okay? There's a demographics video on YouTube. It's also on my website. I'm talking about demographics and why it's important for us as small businesses, and this is a key component of it, okay? And so, for example, say I work with families with 2 kids, and it's usually a networking thing. So the one. I work with women who are afraid to go to a mechanic, as a female mechanic, something like that. Okay, so you kind of tell people in general what you're doing. All right. The problem is it's usually done in very vague and abstract terms, and the reason for that is because people want to hit the everyone. Okay, I want to make it as generic and as bland and as easy to blanket as possible, because when I tell Joe in my networking group, I don't want him to have to, I just want him to repeat that she works with people over 55, okay? End of story. Works for mortgages, whatever it is. The problem with that is, yes, you're hitting everybody, but you're not making a splash. That's a very general, vague term, what that means to me will mean something different to somebody else. So when I'm talking about ideal consumers, one of the first things that we need to do is, in very specific terms, identify who is our consumer. Okay. And I mean very specific terms. And so if you join us on Patreon, there is a whole unit on who's your ideal client, consumer, how to identify them, how to write a profile, how to kind of engage with them. And we're going to talk about it very briefly here, but you need to sit down and figure out exactly what this person looks like, feels like, acts like, give them a complete backstory. Now, when I was in design, we called it a persona. You would create a consumer persona. I've heard some people in business now also fostering this idea, and they were calling it their consumer avatars, whatever you want. But it is a very specific, I refer to it as Betty. So you'll hear me talk about finding your Betty. That's what I'm talking about, your ideal perfect consumer. Now, nobody in the world is going to match this ideal perfect consumer 100%, okay? The idea is that the closer that the more they have on the things, okay, they make this amount of money, they live in this area, they have this number of kids, their kids go to this school. The more you can identify them, the more you have to talk with them about, and the more that you can make sense to them, okay? Because you'll understand that my core, my base, for lack of a better word, I can say these things and they will get the meaning and understand. So therefore they can go out and then preach the good word, because I have shown them through my actions and modeling my behavior in the words that I choose and the way that I market and sell to them, how to go out and market and sell for me, okay? It is the core idea of word of mouth marketing. The problem is people only do it on the surface, all right? The other side of your ideal consumer is, and I'll say this all the time, and there's a video on it also, everyone is not right for our businesses, okay? We have a very specific consumer in mind, which we started our business for. That's your ideal consumer, all right? So think about, if you're struggling with who is my ideal consumer, think back to the day that you started your business. The person that you had in mind, you're like, I'm gonna help this group of people. When I started the design office, I had a great idea in mind of I wanted to help small home and solopreneur businesses get the design and the look and the feel that they needed and deserved at low prices. I didn't get much more detailed than that, and I should have at times. Later I did, but that's where I started. That was the inspiration. So that's a great starting point for who is your ideal client. And give them an entire robust background. Because again, you'll understand, okay, well, my demographic speaks this in this slang. They will understand, okay, the people that I'm talking to will get my jokes from the 90s. They'll understand my references to the 80s. They will understand what I'm talking about. I can make things like Cowabunga Dude, and they will totally understand it, or Eat My Shorts, or something like that. Like, they get the references that I'm making because they are not only like me, they speak my language. And that's really what I'm talking about with getting in touch with your ideal consumer and targeting them to really grow your business. Because once they can go out and explain it to their friends, their like-minded consumers, and say it in the same way, you're gonna grow your business. And that's the core of it all, okay? That's why I talk about so much about working with your ideal consumer, because then it makes it easier to market and sell. Because you're not marketing, anyone and everyone can buy. That's never been a question. Hey, give me money, I'll take it. The question becomes, where are you going to spend your hard-earned cash, your limited time, your limited resources for the greatest return? You're gonna spend it on your ideal consumer, who most of your consumers, your current consumers, have a lot of the same personality traits, buying habits, behaviors that your ideal consumer has. And they may have even more. You just need to get to know them a bit better, all right? So I'm not talking about you going out and giving like formal training sessions, but when you speak to your consumer, talk in ways and see it as a teachable moment. Teach them how to talk about your business. Get engaged with them in other ways other than just as a transaction. Get to know them as people, and consumers get to know us as businesses. Take an interest in each other. And the more you know about each other, the more that you can talk to each other, the greater that your communication skills will be, and the more that you can get out and connect with other people. And the ideal marketing for small businesses is that relationship building. All right. It's like when you meet friends, you meet somebody, you hit it off with them, and they're like, you know what? You got to meet my friend Tom. Oh my God, you're going to love Tom. You meet Tom, and then bam, you got another best friend. That's how it should work in sales and marketing. All right. Somebody comes to you, they use your product, and they're like, you know what? I got to go tell Tom. Tom is going to freaking love this. Tom, you got to come over here and buy this shit. Tom comes over, buys the shit, loses it. Now Tom goes and tells Dave. All right, that's the whole path. That's what we want to happen. And the only way that that can happen is if we teach it and we foster it. Okay, so you need to show your consumers some love. Get in there and show them some love. And consumers, you need to show some love back. All right. And we'll get into this a lot more over the next couple of years. It's the core of everything about the new American dream, sell your experience and find your Betty. It's all about working with those ideal consumers, being respected again, mutual respect, appreciation, and understanding. All right. So this has been a few minutes with E.H. Howard. I'm glad you joined me today. I appreciate the hell out of you all for following me and liking it. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe below. Visit some of the other playlists that we have here, covering a lot of topics, or a lot of ways of getting to the same topic. So, and we're doing some fun, challengey kind of game show things. So be here for that. Follow me on social media. I'm E.H. Howard, literally everywhere. If you want to learn more about me, the new American dream, sell the experience, find your Betty, visit ehhoward.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never close. We're always there. Other than that, I think I'll see you in the next video. All right. Have a good day.